So now the turtles are fucking time traveling. Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover Warren 20 here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for the third installment in a certain comic book adaptation franchise that I'm currently reviewing, and this is for a film that was released 2 years after the last movie. And this review is going to be for none other than the dreaded Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Turtles in Time, as it's called, or sometimes just better off being called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Yeah, that fucker. Let's just get the plot over with first before getting into details. Alright, so Ninja Japan 1393, without a map, without a clue, without a pizza, the international phenomenon that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles returns for a daring trip back in time. When their closest friend April O'Neil is accidentally transported to 17th century Japan, the turtles spring into action, using a mysterious scepter to travel after her. Cowabunga! What they discover is that they've landed right in the middle of a rebel samurai war. Now, with precious time on their side, they must save April and survive the deadly battle before it spills over into the present-day New York City. Yeah. What a great idea for a third film. Fucking time travel. Great. And one of those sequels. So, after the movie was made following the decent success of Ninja Turtles 2, at the box office anyways, another film was obviously planned to be made, and this time released 2 years after the second one. And so after the movie was obviously filmed, the film would then be released theatrically in the United States on March 19th, 1993, once again by New Line Cinema. And how were the critical reviews? Well, rather than just mixed like the first two, they were negative. And despite being a moderate box office success, it only grossed a lousy $54 million against a budget of $21 million. And so it was the lowest successful film in the franchise. According to fans, a lot of this considered to be the worst Ninja Turtles movie of the franchise. As for my reaction, I think this is, well, the second worst. The worst Ninja Turtles movie is only 2 reviews away. But back to the review. The first thing I thought when this film started was, what disease have the turtles caught? The costumes look so much worse than in the second one, which is really bad considering the second one looked far worse. I mean, they didn't look anywhere as good as the costumes in the first one with the second one. Here, they're just atrocious. They seem to have spots all over their heads, even though they didn't even have any spots. They barely had any spots in the first 2 movies. I don't think that they even had them in the other shows either. And even if they did, they were not as dark and obvious as they were here. The story was really not that good either. I always thought the turtles were just better in the city, hiding in the sewer, so when fighting foot ninjas, eating pizza when they're done, and fighting the Shredder, like they're supposed to be doing. That's the whole plot of the Turtles. They protect New York from the forces of the Shredder and his clan. This is not Ninja Turtles. So when they went back in time and they were all out in the open, it just doesn't feel right. The other thing I was missing from this film was the Shredder. Like, I get you're trying to be more creative. I mean, Yeah, fine. You can all say, but he's not. Shredder wasn't in the 2007 animated movie either. Yeah, but for a reason. Here, there's no explanation. This one, they don't even seem to acknowledge the other film's existences. Shredder was always such a great villain, and he was missed in this. However, there is a positive note. Casey does come back. He was missed from the second one, but his character is literally just a small part in this movie, and his role's kind of pointless. He didn't really do a lot, and I was hoping he would have been in it much more. Thankfully, he does better stuff in the next movie that would get released. Anyway, back to the review for the film. Surprisingly, as much as the plot doesn't in any way sound easily approachable or acceptable, Giller tries to make this movie feel like the other films, although there are several changes. Like, for one, Casey Jones returns, which is great, sadly, but it's underutilized. The actual character just hangs around Master Splinter while the Turtles fight in another time zone. Come on. That's not to say Codius isn't around, however. Codius plays another character in the other time zone, but his other role is weakly defined to lack any charm like Casey does. The villain is another problem. Sab Shimono, aka Uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures, does play the Emperor at odds with his family. Along with him, he allies with a Westerner named Walker, played by Stuart Wilson. Wilson is effective at being a bad guy, but his showdown with the Turtles again is so anticlimactic, like with the Shredder showdown in Secret of the Ooze. What's with the showdowns being so lousy in the second and third films? Earn most of the follow-ups. Yet after the badass showdown in the first one, and the badass showdown in the 2007 movie. And viewers may be surprised to see that the Turtles actually do revert back to using your iconic weapons again, unlike Secret of the Ooze, where they just use their fists and are practically weakly handled. That was just nice, at least. At least they got to use their weapons again like they should be. But the problem is that the action scenes feel too infrequent from the last time. Most of the time, the Turtles are just looking for someone. What gives? Giller also tried keeping the snarky dialogue and comedy from that of the first two films. At first, it seems the same, but over time, viewers will notice that almost every sentence that comes out of the main characters' mouths are references to other movies. This is an element that is literally too frequent through the running time. It just feels goofy, like none of the characters have original content to say. The sound effects even come across more like a cartoon than an action film. And literally, like, the movie starts off with the Turtles dancing. Doing a dance number. The first two films never started with that. The first two films start with them fighting bad guys. Here, our first appearance of the Turtles is them jamming out and dancing in the sewers. Really? This is how you start a Ninja Turtles movie? Yeah, that pretty much tells you this movie's gonna suck. Moreover, the movie's plot isn't even interesting. Like, some consider the time travel device too far-fetched, but I don't think that watches, considering the silly things Turtles fans do accept, like Walker is a fairly generic bad guy motivated by simple greed. The exact reasons he and the Samurai Lord are working together aren't elaborated on much. His destiny is also stupid. The looming threat of war is because he's just knocked off a cliff and that's it. The looming threat of war is mostly kept off screen. The film is even poorly paced too. Like, after arriving in the past, there are some action scenes with the Turtles attempting to rescue Mikey. After that, the story relaxes into a long, leisurely sequence of the Turtles hanging out in the village. Like, it says like the movie's only like 95 minutes. It feels like way longer than that. Like, Donnie is preoccupied with going home. Raphael befriends a young child who he thinks is too serious. Mikey, meanwhile, starts to fall for Mitsu, who's human. The human samurai chick that's actually at the time displays Kenshi's love interest. Although, Mikey's storyline's not as, like, maybe not as creepy as the Michael Bay version storyline, the 2014 version of him. As his attempted romance, anyways. Not until the very end, when the Turtles make their way back to the castle, does the plot begin to move again, and that plot is a very uninspired MacGuffin chase. The Turtles chasing after the scepter that he can take them back home. There are some, like... Now I will admit, the reason why this is not as bad as 2014, because there are some great comedy moments in the film, which are kind of the best part of the movie, and some of the script was actually quite funny, made me laugh a little bit. And I also like the small references to other movies, like the Terminator or Wayne's World being two of them. The fighting was still quite good, somewhat, and maybe kind of somewhat better than the fighting in the Secret of the Ooze, because at least they got to use their weapons again. Like, even the Turtles were moving with some speed and made the fighting look smooth, and there were some bad fighting scenes, but there are also some good ones. But the plot of this is still stupid. The Turtles don't go fucking time traveling, they don't go to fucking Japan, and stuff. The Turtles are supposed to live in New York, in the sewers. Come out into the darkness when the Foot Clan is attacking New York. or Shredder attacking New York. And they're supposed to take on Shredder and Foot Clan's forces, and then they go and celebrate, and once they're done, they celebrate by eating some pizza and go back home before humans can find them. That's how Ninja Turtles is supposed to be. Not Time Shredder, not Back to the Future, with the turtles thrown into it. And they don't have freckles on their heads. The 2003 animated film, there were no freckles. 2007, no freckles. The first two movies, no freckles. And Michael Bay movies, as hideous as the designs are, even they didn't have freckles on them. Even the hideous, scary-ass designs in the Michael Bay movies had no freckles on their heads. That probably would have made them look more atrocious, if I believe it or not. But all in all, guys, this film was just a big disappointment. Yes, I mentioned some things I liked about it, but the bad outweighed the good by a long shot, and it's a very poor sequel, and I wish this was just never made. Anyway, here would have to be my final recommendation for this movie. So overall, please skip this chapter and just go straight to the 2007 film instead, because you are better off just accepting and pretending that one is the true third installment in the franchise, because there is no reason to watch this film at all whatsoever. Anyway, if you are wondering how I will rank TMNT 3, I am going to give TMNT 3 a 5 out of 10. And there we go! That pretty much covers up my review for Ninja Turtles 3. We finally got that out of the way. So, now that Ninja Turtles 3 and the first 3 live-action movies are done, now we get to move on to my second favorite Ninja Turtles movie in the next review. Yep, I don't care what anybody says about the next one. We finally get to move on to what is easily the second best of the series, and probably the best one since the original 1990 movie will be next. So, it'll be a nice breath of fresh air. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120, and cowabunga, dudes!